Hi, my name is Jonathan Proby. I want to welcome everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. Thank you for the privilege to be here today. I got a great group, it looks like. I love my teachers. I think you guys give up more than anybody else in any other profession. You're not selfish, folks. I have a special affinity for teachers. My daughter is a Broward teacher, so it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for the privilege to be in front of you today. I am Jonathan Proby, born and raised in Miami. I have been doing mortgages for quite some time. I was a financial advisor before that, so I'm going to bring a little bit of the high tech into this just at the beginning to show you what a mortgage is. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to go through mortgage basics like I just aforementioned. I'm going to talk about the housing market trends. Everybody in here wants to buy a home, I presume. Do you want to buy a home that's expensive, or you want to buy a home that's not so expensive? Pretty easy question, right? So are they getting more expensive? Are they getting less expensive? I'm going to touch on that just for a little bit. Types of loans. If you don't know what they are, you're about to find out. The different loans that are available to all of us in the marketplace. And I'm going to get into what you came here for, the down payment assistance programs that I think you're going to find are pretty amazing. And hopefully everybody in this room is going to be owning a house in the next 3 to 6 months. And I'm going to talk about some special programs and so forth just for fun, and we'll open up to Q&A. Fair enough?
Yes.
Let's get going. Where do mortgages come from? The way that this works out is there's actually investors. They originate on Wall Street, if you didn't know that. And then they go to what's Fannie Mae, Federal National Mortgage Association. That was invented or came to be, the genesis was in 1938. That allowed for people like you and I to be able to buy homes. Before that, they were very hard to come by until they became securitized in the secondary market. And so they opened up mortgages for just about everybody pervasively throughout the U.S. It goes to a mortgage company or a lender, and then it finally comes down to us as the borrower. The way it works is in a given marketplace, 3.5% would be the prevailing interest that the investor would want. Fannie Mae gets their little bit of what they would get. The mortgage company takes theirs, and then it's passed down to us at about 4.5%. That's about what we're seeing in today's marketplace today, right? If you're seeing what I'm seeing, and doing what I'm doing. The reason that mortgages go up and down, the reason that they fluctuate, is because there's an inverse relation to bond pricing and rates. And the reason that the bond prices go up or down is due to the fact, in part, because you have what are called the securities market or stocks, right? And you have what are called bonds. And when stocks are rip-roaring and doing very well, people sell their bonds, and I'm talking about vast trillion-dollar players in the business, sell their bonds, go into the markets, try to capture that 10% rather than that 3% return, like the markets have been doing just recently. That is an inverse relationship. When people sell their bonds to purchase securities, that causes the bonds to rise in rates because when they sell them, it's going to start going down in value. And the opposite is also true. So it's a seesaw effect. If bond prices are high, you're going to see rates go down. If bond prices are low, you're going to see rates go up. The other part of the equation that regulates rates that are out there and why they fluctuate is supply and demand. The more supply there is, what's going to happen? The more supply there is, it's going to be easier for people to buy them. They're going to drive the pricing down, and rates are going to go up. Right now, our rates are, anybody been on Zillow or anybody talking to going on Bankrate or anything like that? Typical, pardon me? 4.5 FHA, I would say. I'm beating that right now, but that's okay. That's for a different story. And so as they fluctuate, the bond investors are going to be wanting more. You're going to still have the two other companies that are involved, Fannie Mae, which is a government, obviously, entity, mortgage companies, and you're going to be paying a little bit more as they fluctuate up and down. And they always will be fluctuating up and down. I wanted to touch on the housing market, like I said at the outset. How's the housing market? Does anybody have want to opine on what the housing market is like today? Is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market?
Seller's market.
Is it a seller's market? See, I got buyers and sellers. I like that. The way that it's driven is, and the dynamic is prices will go up, prices will go down, and prices will stay the same. What drives this is supply, inventory, or new home sales, or new home starts, I should say. I'm going to talk about that in a second, what I'm seeing out there. Demand, is employment up or down? Employment's pretty strong right now. Investor activity, that's about 20% of the marketplace. That's pretty strong right now. Consumer confidence is way up right now. And then affordability. Rent, do you rent or do you want to rent or do you want to own? Everybody in here wants to own, obviously. And hopefully when all is said and done, we're going to find out that everybody in this room can afford a home. So here's the marketplace for homes and how they're valued today. There's something called housing inventory. Housing inventory is a formula where you take the total number of homes listed for sale, total number of homes sold each month. So for an example, if you had 500 homes that were for sale listed and you sold 100 in a month, that would be a 5-month inventory, it's called. And the formula for that that's pretty much out there is based on a 6-month time frame. Okay, if you've got 6 months, the home is on the marketplace. That's going to be neither here nor there as far as a buyer or seller's market. If you got 6 months that has been on the marketplace, or if it's been on the marketplace for longer than 6 months and not selling, that's going to be a buyer's market, and anything under 6 months is a seller's market. And we're seeing a little bit of shift in that, which is great news for you guys. Buyers and sellers market today, a lot of you probably go on Zillow. Zillow has their own index. I'll give you 2 stats that I can tell you right now. Year over year from last year, housing starts are down 9%. So you're seeing more inventory out there, and to me that's a precursor or a leading indicator that housing prices are going to start to go down a little bit. I think I've seen that a little bit already, and it's starting to become more of a buyer's market, which is great news for everybody. I went on Zillow to see what their index looked like. I live in Hollywood. My market is cool, not that it's cool, but that means that the market is kind of slow, which is obviously good news for anybody who doesn't own a home. Anybody who does own a home, the market's going down a little bit as far as values. That's when you guys want to start buying. Types of loans. You probably have heard most of these. You have conventional, FHA, VA, and I've got a couple other ones in here that are nuances and ones that I know that a lot of other mortgage people don't know. And that's why I'm here, is I have some things that a lot of other mortgage people in my space don't know. Conventional loan I'm going to go through, FHA, VA. I'm not going to touch on VA so much because you guys are not veterans. Are there any past veterans in here? No service? Okay. That's a fantastic loan for somebody who's a veteran. We won't get into that because you guys are teachers and I'm going to concentrate on it. Let's start out with conventional. A conventional loan is a free market loan. It's not backed by the U.S. government. The best you can do with that is 3% down. In other words, it's called a 97% loan to value ratio. It is, the ceiling on it is $484,350 here in Broward. It's like I said, it's not government backed. It has a lower debt to income ratio, which is not good. It's typically at 43%, so 43% of your income is what you could use to dedicate towards the loan. I'm going to show you the difference in an FHA in just a minute. There is mortgage insurance. If you don't have, how much down? 80%, right? Or no, 20%. You have an 80% loan to value ratio. Here's your 43%. And to qualify for it is 620. Here's what I'll tell you. To put 3% down on a conventional loan, which would be great, 620 is not going to cut it. We don't see that out there virtually ever. It's going to be more like 650, even the 700s, where you can put 3% down. On a conventional, it's a lot harder to get than FHA. And on a conventional loan, you're going to see that 660, 680 is going to work. Or if it's not 3% down, it's going to be 5% down, 10% down, even 20% down to qualify. Not nearly as easy as FHA. So that's a perfect example of why you should talk about FHA. FHA is typically 3.5% down. Our Broward limits are $356,000. That goes higher for multiplex. Does anybody know what a multiplex is? Duplex, triplex, fourplex, and then it goes to commercial. So you're allowed up to 4 units to still be in this kind of a loan regime. They're government backed. There is MI, everybody knows that. There's like the dreaded FHA MI, which I don't think is dreaded. One of the beautiful things about FHA loans is that you can get almost to 57% on a debt to income ratio, which allows a lot more people to buy. Did you have a question?
What's MI? Somebody stuff are foreign.
I'm sorry?
What's acronyms are foreign to me, so what's MI?
Oh, I'm sorry. A mortgage insurance. Feel free to stop me with these acronyms. Sorry about that. Down to 580 scores. Actually, FHA will go down to 500 scores if you put more down. That came out just this year. I'm sorry?
Repeat what you just said.
About an FHA?
About the scores.
Okay. Oh, shoot. I went past.
The other one.
I hit the wrong button. There we go. Mama told me to have days like this. 580 scores. Okay. Does that answer the question, what you can get FHA?
You just said something about 500.
If you have a lower score, that
Oh, 500?
if you put more on, you'll
Okay.
qualify. That's
Yes,
the
ma'am.
part they didn't hear.
Okay. Thank you for being my interpreter. You can go down to 500 scores as of this year. It's a new rule that came out. You have to put more down. Typically, it's 10%. Obviously, that kind of messes that up a little bit, I guess. I think the good news for any of you in here that are struggling with either student loans, which is the tricky one, or credit scores, I have Rockstar credit score people that can restore your credit. There's no question about it. I had a call yesterday. He was overjoyed. His scores went up 37 points in one day because of the person that I introduced him to. I'm not trying to give you that commercial, but I guess I just did. But I just want to make sure that everybody in this room has a good shot at getting a house before the next 2 or 3 months. Don't hit the wrong button. Self-employed loans. These are very interesting. They just started coming out, I guess, about 2 years ago. This doesn't exactly dovetail into what you guys do. All of you probably are W-2, your employees, I should say. There's no W-2s, no tax returns on these. What we do is we look at the business books of the self-employed person who owns at least 25% of the business, and we can actually get them a loan without W-2s and without tax returns. So they can go ahead and write off everything they have. This could be your husband or your wife that has their own company, their own air conditioning company or whatever it may be. They can write all that stuff off and we can still get you a loan. And it gets even better. And by the way, what does no MI mean? I'm a good teacher. One of my favorites that we've been working with not too long ago, I call a self-employed hybrid. So if you have a husband or a wife that has 25% ownership in their own business and they're writing everything off and enjoying life with their accountant or CPA, we still have a way to get that loan done. And the way it works is we use the W-2 from you guys, because you guys are all W-2, and we use a hybrid situation to where we use their bank statements or their business books and so forth, and we can combine the two in order to get a super fund, if you will, to allow you to have more purchasing power. And that really could be the difference of you and your family getting a loan or not if you have that kind of a situation. If both of you are W-2 with you and your spouse, that's a whole different ballgame. That makes my life easy. I don't have to do a lot of different things to try to pound a square peg in a round hole. Here we go. You guys came for this, and here I'm going to tell it to you. There are a few of these out right now. This is a down payment assistance program for teachers. It's a government grant. It's 100% forgivable. It's based off of an FHA program. It's for all educators in public schools and private schools. As I said before, the top you can purchase is $356,000 on FHA. The buyer's going to receive 2% towards the down payment. So on 3.5%, 2% goes into the kitty for the loan, giving you a 1.5% down payment program for you to purchase the home. It's a fantastic program. And here's where it gets really, really nice. you can combine that for closing costs with a gift. Now, does a gift have to be a family member?
No.
What does a gift have to be? Just a gift. It could be, you can give me a gift. So it can be anybody. The only caveat to that is they cannot be having a foot into the property. They can't have any kind of a situation where they are gonna have ownership or any kind of situation where they're part of that property. But it could be somebody who's really almost a stranger. It could be your employer, it could be your best friend. Yes, ma'am?
What's the LTV again?
That's, okay, so 96.5%, so you have to put 3.5% down. Loan to value ratio. So you can use a gift to help with the closing costs. Many of you have a 403B. Does everybody have a 403B you've been contributing to, hopefully? Did you know you can borrow from that for yourself? You can borrow against yourself? That's pretty cool. Yes, ma'am?
And we can use the gift and then you, consider, real estate or country.
It would have to be cash, or it would have to be currency. And there's another part that it has to be seasoned and sourced and all that, but that's for different. That's for me to sit down with you and figure it all out. If you're interested, I hope you are. I have rock star realtors that know how to negotiate seller concessions. Has everybody ever heard of seller concessions? All right, I'll tell you what it is. For those of you who haven't, we can go ahead and buy a home for, let's say it's worth $190,000, and they want $180,000. We can buy it for $200,000 and use that extra cash towards your closing costs. So we're buying it for a little bit higher. It's still going to be a 30-year amortization, so it's really not going to be that much more. And it's going to be the difference a lot of times of you getting in a home or not getting in a home. Yes, ma'am. Okay, a seller concession is where you negotiate with the seller, who's eager to sell usually, to where they're going to sell the house for a little bit higher value than they need in order to give you that money back towards closing. It's really that simple. I'm kind of giving you the flyover. Obviously, anybody in here that has questions, you can email me. I can sit down with you. I'm here to get you your homes. That's my objective. That's my mission. So if you don't get a question answered right, sit down with me. That's that. You're hitting the wrong one. Now, here's a couple of ideas.
Go back one slide, I had a question. Sorry.
This thing's not going back.
Assistant test keeping it back again.
This is where I was, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me try to see where I was. Go ahead.
Was that where you were?
No, this is conventional. You
What
run
is,
this.
maybe it was on a previous one, where it's
Nope.
government forgivable.
FHA?
What does it mean when it says it's forgivable? Forgivable government grant, that was my question.
You don't have to pay it back. Right?
Pretty simple.
What does forgivable government grant mean?
Okay, it's a grant, you never have to pay back.
Okay.
That's it. Pretty good answer?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that was clear. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So that's that. Does everybody kind of get a good idea?
The grant, is it something you have to apply for separately?
Yes, again, that's going to be a sit down. I don't have the ability here with the time and so forth. I know people got to go pretty soon, but yes, and I can get you that information privately. Did somebody else have a question real quick?
I did. Just wanted to know the grant, we would have to stay in the home for 15 years.
With the grant, it's still just a year, right? You have to stay in an FHA home?
Well, there's different types of grants. So you have 3 years, some require 3 years for the property. Some are.
So it's a moving target.
Yeah, some are, there's some, more teachers, and there's some that are in form of a second mortgage that is at a 0% interest rate. So it never accrues interest, but it's still a second mortgage that you have to pay out when you sell it. And so there's a lot of different options out there in the grant world.
And I skipped something I thought was very important. Or actually, I'm at the slide now. I'm going to go into the conventional one, which you kind of just glossed over. Conventional down payment assistance program. And I apologize for shifting all over the place with this thing. It's 97% LTV. What does LTV mean? Loan to value ratio. Good. And so you put 3% down, right? When it's 97%. It's what's called a community second. That's a Fannie Mae term that allows us to do this, and they're the ones that sanction it. It's interest only on the 3%. It pretty much mirrors the 30-year loan. So if the 30-year loan is 4.5, it's going to be at 4.5. It's a no MI product. And so what that does is, if you qualify for it, it's a little bit more difficult to qualify for than FHA. That is truly a 0 down percent loan. So the conventional one, which is harder to get, is a 0% down loan. Home buyer education class is required. Many of you have already indicated that you have that. If not, it's easy to get. And you go up to 484. I don't know if you're interested in buying something for 484 these days. And so the buyer receives at least really 2%, but up to 4%. I have that wrong. Towards the down payment assistance program. 660 scores is what it takes. We're seeing it work a lot better when you hit 700. And it too can be combined with a friend who's going to give you a gift. It also can be used with seller's concessions, oftentimes is, and with a 403B loan to yourself. Most of you, has anybody ever done a 403B loan to yourself? Most people don't want to touch that. It's like it's sacrilege to touch that. I know a lot of people that have used it and paid it back, and they were just fine by it. Here's an income idea. I don't know exactly what everybody makes in this room. I want to assume it's about $40,000 or $50,000. I hope it's a lot more. What? Here's an income idea where I can actually put income for you to help you qualify for a larger home. It's a little bit of a trick. It's kind of a loophole actually with FHA. FHA buyers can get FHA loans for 3.5% down, or maybe 1.5% if we can qualify you. To buy a property of 4 units, as long as one of the units becomes your primary residence. So if you bought like say a triplex, you would have to live in one of those units, and you could use the other 2 doors, the other 2 units, to qualify for a higher purchase power. So let's go with this. A buyer who intends to buy a multiplex with 2 or 4 units may qualify to use up to 75% of the rental income from all the other units besides the primary residence to pre-qualify the loan. What would be an example? Let's say you bought a 4-plex, and each of those 3 other units was $1,000. That would be $750 times 3. That'd be $2,250 a month to qualify for that property, which puts another $27,000 in income towards your qualification. So if you made $50,000, what would that be? Actually, you would qualify you at $77,000 in income. I think that's a spectacular way to look to try to purchase a property, because now you're going to have people that are paying your property for you with their hard income. Now you are a landlord. Other special programs. This is just for fun. I'll open it up to Q&A. HUD has a program where you put $100 down. The caveat to that is there's not a whole lot of product out there. You got to kind of search it. You got to keep going back and forth to see what crops up. But it truly is $100 down with HUD's program. I would say that from what I've seen, maybe it'd be like 10 or 20 at the most in Broward County at any given time, and it may not be in the neighborhood you want. FHA 203K renovation loan. That is where you purchase a home that is a foreclosure. It needs a lot of work. And so if you purchased a home that needs a lot of work, there's also a side cash portion of that loan where you're just paying the one loan, but you can use that $35,000, let's say, towards the fix-up, and now you have instant equity in a home. Because you can buy these for cheap. The loan comes with it. You go ahead and purchase a property, have the general contractor. There's some other things we have to work out if you're interested in doing it. And now you're going to have instant equity in the home almost every time. HUD Good Neighbor next door. That's in a revitalization area. That's a pretty spectacular deal, except you're going to have to go into neighborhoods you may not want to be in. And that is a HUD program that allows you to purchase a home 50% off. 50% off retail. And that's, I think, gonna conclude. This is me. If you wanna take down my number, take down my email address, and I'll open it up to questions.
Our president wants to speak to them, so I'm gonna go grab her.
Okay. Am I in trouble?
Find out.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you want to speak, make an appointment with you, and I see that you have a Melbourne address on your card. Where will we be meeting with you, or if you want to meet?
I actually live in Hollywood. That's the corporate
Oh,
address.
okay, that's right.
And I gotta do something about that. Yes, ma'am.
Also, you was talking about credit repair.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's that information?
I'm gonna get it to you.
Okay.
You're gonna get it from me.
Okay.
Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
The FNMA, what is that acronym?
Wow, you had to do that to me because of the teacher, huh? Federal National Mortgage Association. Am I close? Fannie Mae. Man, I'm glad you didn't teach me in third grade. Anybody else have a question?
If she had.
Huh?
You might have already known that if she had.
One of the things I love about teachers is you don't know, but that kid that wanted to be an astronaut and you taught him or her becomes an astronaut. I think that's the coolest thing ever. Wants to be president. Somebody taught Bill Clinton and others. And I won't get into some other presidents because I can't. Yes, ma'am.
I know you say you're located in Hollywood. What are your hours of operation for obviously all of us as teachers?
24/7. I come see you. That's not going to be an issue for you guys to sit with me. Yes, ma'am.
So is it true that, because typically the condos, they don't do like people with FHA loans, and I know that a lot of us may, or some may be interested in condos, is that true that
Yeah.
oftentimes they don't want people with FHA loans?
Not just oftentimes, there's only about 3 condos in Broward County that allows FHA. But if I can get you that conventional loan for 0 down, which is condo, we're golden. I want to caveat this. This is an art form. This isn't just everybody comes in and we all qualify. I have to roll up my sleeves with my team to get this done, but we get it done pretty well. We're pretty good at what we do. It's not a science, it's an art. And so when you talk about, or I talk about the conventional with no money down, there's some things that we got to work through to get that done. And that's why you're here. Obviously, you're here because you didn't walk into Bank of America yesterday and say, I want a loan. They got a big old rubber stamp. You know what it says on it? Denied. Yes, ma'am.
What is your percentage fee for services?
I don't charge for a percentage fee for services. That's a loaded question, what that is. I don't charge you really anything. It's gonna be third party, title work, all that kind of stuff. I get paid by the lenders. I'm part of that first slide where I'm part of the mortgage company. I'm gonna cut this off and then I'm gonna answer more questions. If it even worked.